There are some people in this world who were just born with luck on their side. Don't believe me? Then look at the people from today's video. They know exactly what it's like to be favored by fortune. Let's get it on! Everyone's seen clips of terrified tourists on top of high bridges in China. Turns out, they might be right to be scared. A lot of those bridges have gaps in them, designed to terrify people by making them feel like they could fall through, but they're actually perfectly safe, right? Well, yes, until the safety cord slips off the harness. This guy had a seriously lucky escape. There's nobody on Earth who thinks that winter sports are easy. Snowboarding isn't the kind of thing that everyone can do, and getting good at it takes practice. But even the few people who are great at it can make mistakes sometimes. This little mistake could have easily ended in disaster, but instead, luck intervened to turn it into one of the coolest stunts you'll ever see. Sure, it was accidental, but it's still impressive, and nobody got hurt, which is always a bonus. There are so many tricks in skateboarding that you'd need to become an expert to know them all, never mind to actually perform them. Still, new ones appear all the time. You've got to wonder if some of them are created by accident. Technically, this isn't a stunt. The guy fell down and that should have been the end of the story. But somehow, he landed on the board and went riding off like he'd meant to do that all along. Now just wait for some people to start copying him. Skiing is a fairly dangerous sport, but it's not usually the spectators who are in danger. This woman seemed almost determined to get herself hurt though. For some reason, she decided to walk across a slope while skiers were using it.
My question is, what the hell?
This moment could have ended really badly for the two of them, but instead, luck intervened and they missed each other by about an inch. The distance between those skis and her face is the literal definition of too close for comfort.
That escalated quickly.
Everyone knows that mountain climbing comes with risks. There are so many things that can go wrong, but every now and then, something goes right instead. This man was struggling, so his friend threw him a safety rope. Neither of them had any idea that the rope was about to become a vital lifeline.
He's climbing, he's falling.
Got you. I still got you.
But just seconds after the climber attached the rope, the piece of ice supporting him gave way. That was a close one. They say that the things you worry about most will never happen. That's because the things that would go wrong are always the ones you would have never predicted. This video makes me think that's probably true. You expect all sorts of things to cause problems on a road like this, but a mattress flying through the air definitely isn't one of them. Thankfully, all well ends well.
Bye, have a great time.
Sometimes luck strikes in very unusual places. I guess this guy was throwing his TV off a balcony because he didn't want it anymore. He was probably expecting it to smash into a million pieces, and that was probably what he was hoping for. But instead, it hit the ground at exactly the right angle. I don't know about you, but I'd keep that TV as a lucky charm after watching that happen.
Any last words? None.
The ocean is beautiful, but it's not without its dangers. This guy thought he was having a relaxing afternoon swim, but the creatures of the deep had other plans. It's pretty intimidating to glance below you and realize you're swimming right over a real-life shark, and this guy handled it about as well as any of us would. His face says it all. His legs had probably never moved that fast. Some animals are scary for a reason. You want to stay as far away from them as possible because they could literally be the end of you. This ginormous snake falls firmly into that category of animal, which is something this man seems to have forgotten. But the snake is kind enough to remind him how dangerous it is. Whoa! Lucky for him, he was just out of reach this time. Some people just can't resist doing dangerous things in dangerous places, but nobody complains because it does sometimes turn into a great video. This one nearly didn't go so well though. This guy was performing a simple backflip, except he was right on the edge of a cliff. What? But he'd done it before and nothing had ever gone wrong, so why worry? Well, one misstep and before he knew it, he was heading straight for the edge. I don't know how he recovered, he must be glad to be walking away from that one. It's fair to say that there's more than one way to get a ball in the net. This guy would have been in a good position if he hadn't half-tripped into the stands just as he got the ball in his hands. But he's a professional, and he's not going to just let that shot go. So he threw it wildly in the direction of the basket and somehow scored in the most amazing way possible. Operating construction machinery is not an easy job. They're complicated and dangerous, and in environments like that, there's no shortage of things that can go horribly wrong. This moment is about as close as you can get to a disaster without anything bad actually happening. This crane hook accidentally started swinging at exactly the wrong moment, and somehow it managed to miss the car and the man by the tiniest margin you'll ever see. Most people hate moving houses, and who can blame them? Carrying furniture around is tough work, but sometimes things aren't as bad as you think they're going to be. You can bet these two people had no other option than to throw their mattress off the building. But they definitely never expected it to work this well. Just a little wind and that could have been a disaster. Instead, they now have time to wonder where they're going for lunch. There's a fine line between luck and skill, and every now and then you witness them colliding. This forklift operator wasn't really doing anything wrong, but a single unsteady keg was determined to ruin his day. Not on his watch. He reached out, caught it, and placed it safely on the ground like it wasn't even a big deal. I don't know what kind of upper body strength you need to pull that off, but it's definitely impressive. Every now and then, something magical happens and a total stranger enters your life for just a moment and makes everything more exciting. This guy was trying to do a trick shot with a water bottle and that trash can. It was a pretty impressive move, but unfortunately, he just missed. At least he was about to miss, until this stranger appeared out of nowhere and gently redirected the bottle to exactly the right spot. The whole stunt became so much cooler when the mysterious stranger got involved. If you film yourself performing a difficult skill, chances are you're going to fail miserably the second the cameras are turned on. But every now and then, the opposite happens, and you achieve something amazing. This kid really thought he missed the shot, but instead, the ball was just bouncing around a bit before going straight into the basket. He couldn't have done that even if he tried. He must be so glad that he caught that impossible trick on camera so that everyone can see. There's a reason there are so few people with a boat license, and it's not just because boats are expensive, it's because they're seriously difficult to maneuver. And that's also the reason you never see a boat approaching land at speeds like this. You can't stop a boat as quickly as a car, so instead of trying to stop, this driver went with steering to the side and hoping for the best. Things go wrong in sports all the time, but the mistakes usually only affect the players. It's pretty rare to see spectators accidentally being drawn into the chaos, but this moment is even less likely. Commentators are usually tucked away safely. There's almost no chance of them almost being hit in the face with a ball, except on this one occasion.
Coming right back at us.
Yeah!
This could have gone really badly, but instead, he reached out and made a spectacular one-handed catch with his bare hand. It's a really good thing it was caught on camera, or nobody would believe him.
My hand hurts so bad right now.
Big things come in small packages, and sometimes so does good fortune. You sometimes have more luck than you've ever had in a little insignificant moment. This office employee had exactly that. It's amazing how she gets that box back on top of the pile like that, and unfortunately, it also doesn't mean anything. Still, we all know how satisfying a moment like that must have been.